Hey guys, Joe and Gavin here again with you. Today we are going to be talking about how to talk to sellers. This is step 2 of our 5 steps on how to do your first wholesaling deal the fastest, easiest way possible. We're going through this mind map. We just finished the marketing section. To get this mind map, if you haven't heard us already say this 1,000 times, well, it's flipmindmap.com, flipmindmap.com, or you can text the word flip to 313131. All right. Today we're going to talk about how to talk to sellers. And Gavin, this is something that Gavin's really good at. Gavin has been helping a lot of my students with learning how to overcome fear of talking to sellers, being afraid of not knowing what to say. It is pretty simple, isn't it, Gavin?
It is, yeah. I mean, this is one of the most important things. I know we've just been through marketing in previous videos, and obviously you can't, if you've got no one to talk to, then you can't do deals. But when them calls are coming in, you know, this is kind of the $1 million thing here that's going to take the deals down, qualify them, sign them up. And this is something that is so important. And like you said, people have fear. Fear because it's the unknown, right? And that's okay. You can only do it, but you can only get better by keep going, keep doing it.
And so we're going to go through this fast. I mean, sales is the $1 million skill, and you might even argue that this is the most important thing that we've talked about in this entire mind map. But we're going to go through pretty fast, try to get this all condensed into one video here. So to get this mind map, this is really important because we got some really good things to say. Now, one of the things that we included in here is sometimes one of the fastest ways to talk to sellers is by sending them text messages. I mean, anymore these days, it seems like people just aren't answering their phones. So sometimes it helps to text them back and forth. Text them a little bit, see if you get somebody who's interested in selling, and then call them right away, or tell them to call you, or schedule a time to talk, or whatever. So texting is really good. And we've talked about this before. We just want to clarify it again here. MightyText.net. MightyText.net is a program that if you have an Android phone, you can actually send text messages from your laptop or computer. Your VA can do it for you. It's synced with your Android phone, and you don't have to be actually on your phone. You can send a lot of text messages quickly back and forth. CallRail and Vumber are 2 services that you can use as well. If you want to text from your CRM, you should check out FreedomSoft or InvestorFuse. And it's important. You can send and receive text messages using virtual phone numbers. Now, where do you send them? We've talked about this before, but there's Craigslist for sale, Craigslist rentals for sale by owner, Craigslist rentals, Zillow for sale by owner, and Zillow rentals as well. What do you send them? I like to send a 3-step text message exchange. You know, so is your house still available? Are you the owner? Is your price negotiable? If it's a FSBO. If it's a rental, you could say something like, have you thought about selling it? And so that way, if you're VA or if you're sending out those text messages, you only can talk to then people who actually own the house and might have an interest in selling it, might have some flexibility. All right, so it's always important to answer the phones live if possible. Now, if you can't answer the phones live, then maybe you should get somebody else that can. That's the ideal. If you just think about it, if you want to do more deals than your competition's doing, then you should be doing what your competition is not doing. And they're not answering the phones live. Every successful investor I know that's doing a lot of deals, they're accessible. They answer the phones. When a seller calls from a bandit sign, or they call from a letter, or they call from a PPC ad, a Google pay-per-click ad, there's somebody that answers the phones. Now, we try to keep this really simple. Leads come into 2 categories. Either prospects or suspects. If they're a prospect, we want to make an appointment right then and there to go see the house. Real simple. Now, what classifies somebody as a prospect? Somebody who has equity or motivation. Real simple. Okay, I'll just put that in here. Equity or motivation, make an appointment. Somebody who is not a prospect is a suspect. But don't just throw those leads away. This is really important. We'll talk about this in the next videos. Make an offer to all of your leads as they come in. Make an offer and follow up with them. A lot of times a no means not yet. And so sellers sometimes just need time to cook. So you always want to be following up. So keep it real simple. It's either a prospect or a suspect. All right? Now here are some simple questions. There's some simple questions to ask. Now I gave you in here a script that you can get And this script is in Google Drive. You can get it for free in the mind map. And I'm not going to spend any time going through this, but this is a really, really good script that you can use for if you have somebody else answering the phones to make appointments for you. And this script does a real good job of pre-screening out the ones that maybe they don't really have a need to sell. They maybe want to sell, but they don't have a need to sell. This is a really, really good script that you should use if you have somebody making appointments for you. So check that out. It's in the mind map. But what we like to do is we don't like to give people this big, long set of scripts in different paragraphs for each different situation. We just like to list a bunch of questions. So get a piece of paper, choose 5 of these questions, maybe 6 or 7, write them down on a piece of paper on your desk. So when you're talking to sellers, you can just jog your memory of what you can ask them. Okay? It's all about listening and asking questions. So I like to say, hey, thanks for calling. You've reached the offices of da-da-da. Do you mind if I ask you a few quick questions? Okay?
Yeah. And the thing is as well, just on that, when you say, can I ask you a few quick questions or a few questions, then you can just reel the question off, sit back, listen, write the notes. Next question, because they're expecting it. So by setting that up at the start of the conversation, you're saying, I'm just going to ask you a few questions.
Yeah.
So then you can just read your questions out, okay, and make notes.
Yeah. Thanks for calling. Hey, or if you're calling them back after voicemail, hey, you just called me a minute ago. Do you mind if I ask you a few questions about your house? They say, yeah.
Yep.
The point is you listen, ask questions, listen, ask questions, listen. Don't worry about typing the questions or the answers into your CRM. Just handwrite them on a piece of paper, okay? Your notes. So do you have a house you want to sell? Maybe they don't. You need to find out, right? What's the address of the property? How would you describe the condition? What made you decide to sell this property? What you're looking for is, again, motivation. If they're just saying, well, I'm testing the waters, just trying to see if you can make an offer, I'm not in a hurry, you get these kinds of answers. So are you looking to sell in the next 30 days? A great question to ask is, what's more important for you? Number 1, waiting to get full retail for the house, or closing quickly and getting cash? If they say, well, I want to get the full price that I can, you can say, well, maybe I don't think I can help you. Have you contacted a realtor yet? Do you want me to recommend a good realtor for you? You're still going to send them an offer. You're still going to follow up. And along with this lines is, as you're talking to them about the house, ask them things like, sounds like a great house. Why haven't you sold it yet? Or why would you even want to sell it? So what's your bottom line number? How much do you need to sell this house for? Sometimes it's hard to get that answer out of a seller. So, I like to play a little game with them. I go back and forth. They say, well, I know you maybe don't feel comfortable with telling me the bottom line number that you want, but I just want to make sure I'm not wasting your time. So can you just give me a number? Give me a range of what you're looking for. Or you can say, what would make you really happy, right? You want, whoever gives the first number usually loses. So you want them to come up with a number first. If they're playing hardball and they're just kind of grouchy and not wanting to give you any number, it's probably not a motivated seller. And that's fine. You know what? Just say, you know what? This probably isn't going to be a good fit for us.
Yeah, I like to use examples a lot as well. And I'll pluck figures out that are easy. So I'll say, well, let's say your house is worth 100,000 and you owe 95,000 on it. I can't help you. And then they will often jump and go, oh, no, I owe, way less than that. It's more like 40. So they've just given me the answer without me even asking for it by giving them an example.
That's a real good point. And it's all about positioning too, isn't it? I mean, one of the things I like to ask at the beginning of the call is, hey, thanks for calling. Do you mind if I ask you a few questions? I'm an investor. Do you mind if I ask you a few questions about your house to see if I would even be interested in making an offer on it? You're not, don't put yourself into the chasing the seller mode, okay? You have to detach yourself from the outcome, right? You need to get the seller to sell you on why you should buy their house. You need to play the role of the reluctant buyer, and you do that by asking questions, okay? You control the conversation by setting the agenda up front and asking the questions. You're the one asking the questions. Don't let the seller start asking questions. We're not saying being a jerk. And the other thing that's important too is when you're talking to sellers, you don't want to make them jump through too many hoops or pre-screen them too much. Okay? If they got some motivation, if they got a real need to sell, go ahead and make that appointment as soon as possible. and get to the house and look at it. Okay?
Yeah.
A good question is, where would you like us to send you an offer? Great. Someone from our acquisitions team will call you back. Now, this question is if it's an assistant or a VA taking the call or something like that. Okay? The key to this, listen, ask a lot of questions, and just pick 4 to 5 questions that you like and just write them down. Keep it super simple. You'll get better with practice. Does that make sense? Really important to
Absolutely.
keep it simple. Now, if you can answer the phone live and you've got the budget, you can hire a phone answering service to do that. We gave you some in the mind map, some services that you could use to hire to answer the phones for you. I'm not recommending any of these. You should check them out for yourself. 3 different services that we have here. And you might even consider finding somebody local for that. Now, what if you can't answer the phone live? I actually gave you a script in here. It's a simple voicemail script that you can use for your outgoing voicemail. And I'll let you download this. You can look at it yourself. But these voicemails, one of them is really long, maybe a couple 3 minutes long, and one of them is really short, maybe about a minute or 2 minutes long. So if you have an outgoing message, sometimes in your postcard you might say something like call our 24-hour recorded voicemail script or voicemail hotline, then this is the voicemail you want to put in there. If it's a short little message, the cool thing about this short message, it just says, hey, you know what? I'm super busy. And if you've got a really property and you want me to drop everything that I'm doing to call you and talk to you right now, then here's my cell phone, call the number. So this voicemail script's actually really good for bandit signs. Okay,
Absolutely.
check those out. Anything you want to add to that?
Yeah, a couple of things, guys. One thing that really annoys me, I don't get annoyed very often, but one thing that does annoy me, okay, with investors, is when a call comes in and they don't recognize the number, so they don't answer it. If you're coming into this business, I had one of our students say it the other day, and I had to tell him, I was, being honest with him, that you remember, you're in America, okay? You do move, you do relocate. You will have a different number that you've had for 20 years. Doesn't mean that it's going to be your area code, right? So if you're in this business and the phone rings, you don't know the number, you have to answer it. And I know that sounds simple, but people don't do it, and it's got to be done. And the other thing is as well, if you are using bandit signs, okay, don't be the guy that doesn't answer the phone or doesn't return the messages. And try this yourself. See a bandit sign, call it. Did they call you back? Did they answer live? I guarantee the majority don't do either. You're wasting money. Yeah. You're just wasting money.
So, talking to sellers is very, very, very important. I know we flew through this really fast, but it's simple. You set the agenda up front. You just control the conversation by asking questions. And if it's a prospect, you make an appointment. If it's a suspect, you send an offer and you follow up. So we're going to be talking about how to make those offers here in a minute. So here's your action checkpoint list right now. We want you guys to say yes to these 3 things. Yes, I will send text messages to create more leads. Yes, I will answer the phones live or have an answering service in place, or as a sub checkpoint, yes, I will get a voicemail system set up automatically, right? And return the call within a few minutes. They say that you're 9 times more likely to do the deal if you call the seller back within 1 minute. Not 9 times more likely to talk to the seller, but 9 times more likely to do a deal with them the sooner you call them back. Okay? And finally, you want to say, yeah, we want to challenge you and push you that, yes, you will talk to 5 sellers a day. The only way you're going to overcome your fear of talking to sellers, the only way you're going to get better at it is by practice. Just make it a goal to talk to 5 sellers a day, and I can virtually guarantee your success in this business if you do that. All right? So finally, listen, if you need some help, you want to schedule a strategy session with myself or Gavin, go to coachjoe.net, or the link is here in the mind map. We'd love to talk with you about your business, find out where you are now, where you want to be, maybe what are the obstacles holding you back, and help you make a decision on what you need to do to get to your goals. All right?
Awesome. Thanks, Joe.
Thanks, Gavin. We'll see you guys.
Thanks, guys.
On the next one. The next video, we're going to be talking about making offers. Really good stuff. See ya.
Thanks.